Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So they say that talking to people right after they eat is risky. So please don't sleep off on me. Thank you. All right, so I'm basically going to be sharing about my experiences and how I was born with a condition. I was born hungry. Wait, not that kind of hunger. Yeah, I love food, yes, but there's a kind of hunger that I was born with that always makes me want to go for more. Let me share my story with you. I was born a regular child, grew up in a regular family. Everybody was just normal. My dad, banker, my mom, a teacher, you know that kind of scenario. Everybody's just normal. Good girl, go to church, do all the right things. But by the time I was 8 years old, I just knew that there should be more, you know? I was not satisfied. I mean, by 8, I had my first crush. So I knew that there had to be more, you know? But then there was a problem. I didn't have anybody I could express myself to. I am an introvert. I was a chronic introvert then. I couldn't talk to anybody. So what I would do is I'll run into my head. I'll gist with myself. I'll be like, Uju, this happened. I'm talking to myself, you know. I'll have a conversation with myself. I'll dream up big things in my head. How I was very rich. How I was going to change the world. How I was going to build a mansion. You know, all of those things. Only in my head. Because I couldn't put words together to tell somebody how I was feeling. But I just knew that there was something wrong with me. Because I wasn't satisfied with what other people were satisfied with. I wanted more. I would come first in class, and I came first in class so much. I'm like, you know, what else apart from coming first in class? Fast forward to when I became a teenager and it was time to go to the university. I had no clue what I wanted to study. No idea whatsoever. And that kept me at home for about 7 years. Yes, as in me and Jam, we had a relationship. Yeah, so I stayed home for 7 years, partly because I was failing Jam, partly because I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life, partly because I didn't know, I couldn't find somebody who would understand what the problem was, you know. So I said to myself, if I don't get into school by so and so age, by 25, I was just going to go and look for somebody and marry. And so I got into school at 26 actually. So at the end of the day, I found a career counselor. He helped me along the path. So between the time I was 8 that I was aware of myself and when I got into school, a lot had happened. In the process of looking for satisfaction, I found drama. I acted, I found singing, I found a lot of things. I found writing, you know, I would write my own songs and all of that. I got into school and I found radio. Oh, it was the best thing that happened to me my entire life, you know. And getting into radio, I discovered that hunger that nothing else could satisfy then was beginning to make some sense, you know. People were on the other end of the radio. I was in the studio, and I was making impact. I would say something, and somebody would call in and say, hi, this thing you said there, I tried it, it worked. A mother would call and say, Chimgozie, by the way, it was a school in Oka. This thing you said, my teenage daughter or my teenage son, you know, is doing it. That felt so good. But guess what? I was still hungry. I needed to do more than just the radio. Leaving Oka, moving to Abuja, I continued with radio because the romance was just too sweet to let go. But then, I still wasn't satisfied with the fact that I was reaching quite a number of people. I was doing amazing things because, you know, radio is a powerful medium. I decided to narrow down to particular things I was passionate about. First of all, I love anything that has to do with women and children. You can't find me sleeping on in any matter that has to do with women or children. I discovered that, and I created programs. From my first radio station to the one I'm currently working on, I'm anchoring programs that have to do with women and children. Issues surrounding them, health, rights, you name it, I'm talking about it. So that platform gave me some level of fulfillment. But then again, the hunger came. And I had to do something more. I decided then that I was going to take what I was doing out of the studio into, the regular people's lives. The people who probably didn't have time to listen to me while I was on air. And that gave birth to Once Upon a Woman business seminar and workshop for women, young women who maybe didn't have opportunity of going to school or whatever their case was, who were looking for a way to better themselves. That seminar came about. And all of this I was doing before I got married. I had this thing in mind, that if I carry this hunger to a man's house, I'll frustrate him. Yes, because I won't even know what's wrong with me. Society has so drilled us, with this notion that it's until you are a missus before you have any importance in life. This ring opens doors, you go somewhere and welcome ma. So sometimes I take it off, just so I can look for your trouble. But that's by the way. Anyway, so I discovered that I had to find myself. I needed to discover what it was that made me tick before I enter somebody's house. Otherwise, the poor guy was going to have hell on earth. A lot of us here are passionate about different things, but we're afraid that if I start it now, will they answer me? If I do it now, they will say, you're doing too much. If I say, let me buy a car now, they say, if you buy a car, who will marry you? A lot of these narratives. Am I making any sense, ladies? Thank you. A lot of these narratives are going on, but you see, they are all but a box. You decide if you're going to stay in that box and grow like a shark put in an aquarium, or if you're going to break the damn thing and explore the opportunities that God gave you when He put you to birth. There's so much in us. I realized that there was so much in me, and thank God He helped me to discover all of that before I landed with Mr. Nwachukwu. Anyway, something else happened to me. I also made up my mind that because I have identified what it is I want to do, I found a platform that would amplify my voice. I was going to use that platform to make everybody who comes in contact with me, one way or the other, be impacted positively. Here's what I mean. When he was introducing me, he said I've trained a lot of people. Between when I started radio and now, one-on-one training I've done 32 young people. 32, one-on-one, between when I started radio and now. I discovered that if I keep doing one-on-one, I'll be limited. So I started off the Media Masters Academy. That way, I can get all the young people who just know that, I love radio, I love TV, but I don't know where to start. I could get them seated in a classroom, get all the practicing professionals to come teach them, and at least show them some kind of roadmap. We cannot have young people everywhere, young women, filled with so much capacity, filled with so much, and all we're worried about is how many people are following me on social media. All we're worried about is what's the latest double drawn hair. All we're worried about is, okay, so which beach picture can I take now so that they will know that me too I follow. There's so much to do in life, sisters. There is so much to do. You dare not limit yourself because you're single. And then you dare not limit yourself because, oh, well, I'm married and I have children. The only limit there is the one that you create. And that's the most dangerous, because if you don't uncreate that limit, nobody can help you. You live every day with regrets. You live every day dissatisfied, wondering what's going on, wondering why God is not answering you. There's so much inside you until you stop and actually bring that thing out. One thing that works for me mostly is my relationship with my father. So, lately he gave me an idea. Apart from the Once Upon a Woman, I started doing that way before I registered an NGO. So I got a push to register my NGO towards the end of last year, and by February this year it was done. He gave me an idea a couple of weeks ago on what to do for market women. Remember I said, I'm naturally hungry. When I scale a mountain, I'm looking for the next mountain. If you are a typical Nigerian child, at a point they're going to look at you like something they worry you. Like, what's up with you? It's okay now. Do you have friends who ever tell you like, it's okay now, you too do? No. If that hunger is in you, except you want to drive yourself nuts. If that hunger is in you, you must see it to the end. So the project I have in front of me right now is something for market women. So my father says to me that there are a lot of women who have already started something. A little fund injected into their business will make an impact not only on the woman, on her children, on her husband, especially if she is the breadwinner of the family. Do you see? I am one person, one 8-year-old girl, having crush on one fine boy. But I have not only affected 30-something young people who are currently placed in different radio stations in Nigeria. I've not only affected a total of 26 students who have been trained in Media Masters Academy this year alone, I'm also going beyond to affect market women who not only them will be affected by this new project we have, but their children, their husbands, their dependents. So you see, there is a whole lot of people who will not rise if you don't get up. There's a whole line of people, excuse me, let me use this expression, there's a community that will not see light if you don't get up. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop allowing anybody let you feel like something is wrong with you because of a certain condition, single or married or whatever. There's nothing special about me. I had a lot of self-doubt. I had a lot of self-hate at some point. I thought I was the ugliest of my sisters. My sisters are drop-dead gorgeous. I thought I was the ugliest. I'm not hairy. The only thing I have going for me is that I talk well. Like you all are old by my voice right now. Okay, so that's the only thing I have going for me. Okay? That was what I thought. That's what I thought I had going for me. So I sat down, I said, okay, fine, you're not fine. This one, you not get. My only book and voice you sabi. What can you do with what you have? So that's my question to you. What can you do with what you have? Okay, so please, you are beautiful. I've realized I'm beautiful actually. But what can you do with what you have? What skill do you have? What innate ability do you have inside of you that when you come out, everybody else just falls into the shadow? If you find it, you will have a reason to wake up every morning. If you find it, there is a fire under you that nobody can stop. If you find it, whether you hammer or if you don't make money, wait till we gain, whatever, you will live a fulfilled life. Because not only will you be satisfied, you will also spread that satisfaction around. Your generation will not forget you. Someone said earlier, it's horrible, most horrible, when you pass through a place and there was no impact. Nobody even remember that you were there. That's the worst thing that can happen to anybody. So here I am sharing my story. There's so much to say, but because of time. But the most important thing was scared, afraid, not wanting to move, afraid of what people will think, afraid of judgment, afraid of what people will say. Went through the worst heartbreaks you can imagine, all kinds of things, to the point where I say, look, I am the architect of this life. I decide what happens. To the point where I'm not only now satisfied, I'm beginning to spread what it is that I have to other people so that they too can replicate. If I ever train you, you have entered one chance because you must show me the people you have trained. If I ever teach you something, you must show me who you teach or who you will teach, whatever it is I teach you. Do you get the picture now? Somebody said, it was Tyler Perry. He said, own your struggle, own your dream, own that thing, because there are people who will not rise up except you do. There are people who will never know who they are except you know who you are. There are people who will never start business except you either start your business or you show them the ropes. There are people who will never believe in themselves except you do something. So they look at you and say, she could do it. Despite her past, despite her weaknesses, despite all the things that are working against her, if she could do it, then I can do it. On the road to dying empty, you have to be super deliberate. There is no magic that I did. There is no shortcut. This year is my 14th year in radio. 14 years. No pay. Trekking sometimes. I've stayed hungry for 2 days stretch. 2 days. Drinking only water. Not because I was fasting, seeking the face of the Lord, but because there was no food. So you see, I could have gotten to a point where I said to myself, ditch this dream. Ditch this thing you want to satisfy yourself because it's not working now. But no. The hunger propelled me even more. I will conquer you. Media, I will conquer you. But beyond conquering for myself, I figured out the best way to get satisfied is to conquer because of other people. And then also remember, money flows in the direction of value. Am I making sense? You cannot go to the marketplace empty. You will return with an empty basket. So if you have value inside of you, anything at all can be monetized. Think about it. Take a few seconds. What do I have inside me that can be monetized? That people will need. If you find it, and it's something that you'll be fulfilled doing, then naturally resources will flow. It doesn't work the other way around. You have to have something you're bringing to the table. Especially us women, you have to have something you're bringing to the table. Beauty is not enough. Having assets is not enough. You have to have value that you're bringing to the table. That way, if they didn't make space for you at the table, you bring your chair and create space for yourself. But you cannot be creating space for yourself when you don't have anything that you're giving. The future, they say, is female. I agree. Don't murmur, just relax. The future is female, but you know that we cannot do it all by ourselves. We need you guys. But the point is, now, wow, whatever. Yeah. No, but that's the truth. Women are doing so much more, but that's not to leave out the men, okay? This is not specifically for the women. Maybe because I am a woman, so I'm more or less like directing it to them. Get it out of your head that because you're a woman, you can't. Because you're a woman, you can't. Because I am a woman, safe. And we can it. Yes. Because I am a woman, I will get to that level they said nobody can. Because I am a woman, I will do it and do it so well that when I'm done, I become the benchmark. That's how we rock and roll. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am Uju.